Hello again everyone. I see quite a lot of you have been enjoying my most recent upload, the sad tale of the lost scooter, my most terrifying incident. Well, the good news for you today is I've got another scooter story to tell you. No video for this one, so you're just going to have to listen to me narrate it. I've also got a couple of sort of tales of how things have floated away from dive sites and then reappeared in other places, which I think you'll probably quite enjoy. No video, so just me talking again, I'm afraid. I'm also going to talk about the Q&A that I've got on Sunday, so no video this Sunday, but I do have an awesome Q&A that I think a load of you are going to like. I'm also going to remind you about how you can win this lovely Orcatorch, so that's going to be given to one lucky person by the end of the month. And yeah, so that's what's coming in today's episode. So just before I start, I just want to say thank you to all those people who've commented on my posts, who've liked, who've subscribed, who've shared them with other people who've engaged on the deep diving Facebook group. That's really interesting. I do love talking to people on there. So that's all fantastic, and thank you very much to everyone for doing that. And also, got to say a real special thanks, of course, to people who have sent me a coffee on the Buy Me a Coffee website. You know you are, guys, but that's really appreciated. Thank you very much. So, okay, what else have I got to talk about? Well, okay, I promised you the scooter stories. So, although the one I posted was undoubtedly my most terrifying scooter incident, it wasn't the most stupid thing I've done with a scooter. So, the most stupid thing I've done with a scooter was about, I don't know, probably even more than that, 6 or 7 years ago. I'd done that classic thing where you borrow a piece of equipment off somewhere else. You make all those promises. Yes, I'm going to bring it back. It'll all be fine. If there's any problems with it, I'll sort them out. All those kind of things. And I then took this scooter to Malinhead. It was one of the old Suex ones. So it had a lead acid battery. But the crucial bit about it was that it only had an 80-meter depth rating. So that's fine if you're doing all the kind of Malin classic wrecks, so the Justitias, the Audacious, the Empire Heritage and everything. And I did it with those, and it was absolutely fine. Battery life wasn't brilliant, so I was having to charge it every evening, but other than that, it was absolutely fine. Then we started to do some of the deeper stuff. So the Vicna, which is 85 meters, and we wanted to do the Amazon, which is about 110, 115 as well. So took the scooter on the Vicna, absolutely fine. So slightly over its depth rating there. You know, it's obviously 80 meters, 85 meters. Yeah, okay. Now there's got to be a tolerance in these things, hasn't there? There's got to be a bit of a safety margin. So that was my thought, is that there's a safety margin. I was trying to think, wonder what the safety margin could be. And I reckoned for a piece of kit like that, it was probably somewhere between about 30 and 50%, because if I was building it, that's kind of what I would do. So I was like, right, okay, so 80 meters, that's 9 bar. The Amazon is 115, so that's 12.5 bar. So, you know, that's about a 50% margin. So I was like, right, okay, well, it's a bit less than a 50% margin. I'm like, right, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna go for it. So obviously, unbelievably stupid thing to do, especially with somebody else's equipment as well. But anyway, I did it. So scootering down on the Amazon with my buddy who's also got a scooter. It's Scott, in fact, he's from the video that you've seen. And it's all going well, scooter's working fine, past 100 meters, past 110 meters, and then get to the bottom of the shot line, and the wrecks are in front of us, all fantastic. Scooter's still working, absolutely brilliant. Went to pull up, so to stop the scooter and going down, and the scooter simply wouldn't pull up. It was just really, really heavy, and even, you know, when I stopped pressing the trigger, it was still really, really heavy, and just basically took me straight into the seabed. So the question is, so what's happened? Well, obviously the scooter is now negatively buoyant. How does it get negatively buoyant? It's full of water. It's still working, but it's negatively buoyant. So what did I do? I had a lifting bag with me. I attached the lifting bag to the scooter, and I sent the scooter up to the surface, and very fortunately the guys on the boat were able to pick up the scooter, get it on board the boat. I completed the dive. It's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't done the Amazon, it is a stunning, stunning dive. Got back out the water, got onto the boat, and the scooter's there. It's flooded. Clearly, open it up. Water pours out, but it's still completely working, which is just absolutely incredible. There's obviously this horrible smell of soggy lead acid battery, but it is working. And one of the things with the Suex, for those of you who don't know, or that particular model of Suex, is they had a separate battery compartment to the motor. So the bit that I flooded was the battery compartment rather than flooding the motor. So that was, I guess, probably why it still worked. Lead acid batteries, clearly very, very tolerant to salt water, or certainly in the short term. I dried out the battery. Clearly the battery was knackered, but subsequently put another battery on it, and the scooter continued to work. So go Suex, well done you. But obviously the key question is how did it leak? And what that particular model of Suex had was effectively the separate the separate motor that I've already talked about, and the battery compartment you could kind of unscrew. It was this big tube, so you screwed it in, and there was a screw at the bottom, and there was a nut at the top that you tightened in to hold it in place. And it took me ages to find out how it actually failed, because the tube was fine, couldn't see any other obvious signs of leak, but obviously it got a big amount of water in. And what it turns out is the screw where you screw the tube into had a circular crack all the way around it, and a really impressively sized one. There's a particular name for that kind of failure. I've forgotten what it is, maybe a spiral fracture or something like that. But yeah, that was what had gone. So went to Suex to try and get a replacement. So it's basically the bit that's in between the battery compartment and the engine, or between the battery compartment and the engine, as I've been describing it. And you needed to take that and replace it. Suex wanted, I think, somewhere in the region of about £1,000 for it. The scooter wasn't worth that much, so I actually managed to get a guy I know to manufacture one out of Delrin. The only problem with that is it then completely trashed the buoyancy, because it was heavier than the original part. So what we ended up doing was getting some separate batteries for it that were lighter, and we could make it all work out with the buoyancy and everything. So that scooter got fixed. But you might ask, what did I do? Obviously, I borrowed that scooter from somebody else. So what I managed to do for him was get him a replacement, exactly the same model, gave him the replacement. I kept the scooter that I'd flooded, and I managed to resolve it in the way that I've just talked to you about, and then I managed to sell it on. So that was my most stupid thing that I've ever done with a scooter. So I have no idea why I thought it was okay to kind of smash the depth rating by that much, but I did. Didn't work out particularly well for me. Lesson learned, pay attention to the depth rating, kids. And it's interesting to note, a scooter that I absolutely love the look of is the Seacraft Go. It's really small. It's got batteries that you can take out. You can charge it through the casing. You can mount lights on it. It's got an on-off switch, which is really important to me. It's got that nice little battery monitor. They just look absolutely fantastic scooters, and they're great because for this kind of diving, or the kind of diving I do, you don't want scooters to be too big. The kind of Ghosts and all those kind of things, and even the Suex, to be honest, the Suex 7 that I had were just too big. You want small ones. You don't need masses of battery life because you're only using it for a bit on the bottom. So the Seacraft Go would absolutely fit the requirement for that. Apart from it's only got a 100-metre depth rating. Now I know people who've taken them to slightly deeper than that, but one of the interesting things about it is when it first came out, the Seacraft I think had a 130-metre depth rating, which would have been absolutely spot on for me, but they've subsequently reduced it down to 100 metres. I don't know what's happened, but I would imagine they must have had some kind of people experience leaks or failures or something like that. So that's really interesting, and I guess so the message for everyone is pay attention to depth ratings on bits of kit. And of course, it's not just scooters that have depth rating. Loads and loads of other stuff has depth rating. My rebreather, the AP Inspiration, has depth rating on it, 100 metres. Inspirations have been a lot deeper than 100 metres, but that is, in theory, its maximum depth. My heated vest has a 100 metre depth rating on it. various torches, loads and loads of stuff has depth ratings on it. So if you are going and doing deeper diving, there is always a decision that needs to be made about your kit. Can you go deeper than it's rated to? Why is it being rated to that depth? So it's a really important factor to consider. What I would say though is, scooters, you should absolutely pay attention to the depth rating on them. Do not ignore those. So that's my stupidest scooter story. What else I promised to talk to you about was, the torch. Yeah, 150 metre depth rating on these things. So they're good for pretty much all the diving that you want to do. If you want to win this torch here, this is a brand new one. If you haven't seen my video of the test I've done on it, then please go and have a look at it. You can win it by joining my deep diving group on Facebook. That's all you need to do. I'll pick a winner out of a hat and get in touch with them on Facebook, and I'll send it to them completely free. It's theirs. If you want to know how to do that, then there is a link in the description. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was kit that floats. So my scooter that I lost in on the dive, the last video that I published, when it went away, obviously it was spiraling down, and I suspect that one probably hit the seabed and it's probably on the seabed because I think it was slightly negatively buoyant. It would have been neutral apart from I put quite a big bolt snap on it, and I think the bolt snap was enough just to make it negatively buoyant. So I don't think that one is ever coming up to the surface. But I do know somebody else who lost a scooter on a dive. I don't think they had it clipped on properly when they went in, and therefore it floated off them, and they were lucky because their scooter was slightly positively buoyant, and the dive boats, big kudos to them, spotted just the very tip of a scooter floating in the water, and they were able to go and pick it up. And I think that was quite an expensive Bonex ones, one of the big Bonex ones, maybe £5,000 worth of kit. So once again, I've often made the points in my videos that it's really important to choose your boat crew well, and boat crew who keep a good lookout. That's really important. So that's a floating gear story. Another story is a friend of mine had an iPhone in one of those underwater housings, and he was using it to watch videos on decompression stops, and he'd attached it to the lazy shot, so maybe 35 meters, and his plan, so using it effectively as a tag. When he came back up to the lazy shot, he was going to take it off, and then as he went up on his deco, he was going to watch videos, and that was all fine. Anyway, got back to the lazy shot, no sign of his housing with his iPhone in or whatever it was. Obviously, he was pretty upset by that because clearly that was, even an old iPhone as it was at the time, that is hundreds of pounds worth of kit floating off, and we don't know what happened to it. Either somehow the clip came off, or maybe somebody disconnected it by accident, or something like that. Who knows? Anyway, it was gone. Now, this was diving off the northwest coast of Ireland, probably 20 or maybe 25 miles offshore. So you kind of assume, therefore, that is never going to be seen again. That's going to go. But it was positively buoyant. So about 4 months later, he was at home, and his mum rang him. And his mum, he lives with very close to his mum, and his mum says, I've got this person on the phone who's found your old iPhone. And he was like, what? Which old iPhone? Anyway, subsequently turns out that the iPhone and the case floated and ended up somewhere in Scotland, on one of maybe the outer isles, Outer Hebrides in Scotland. And somebody who was walking down a beach found it, opened it up, presumably charged it back up again, and somehow was able to access the phone numbers in there and find this guy's mum. Rang up his mum and said, look, I've got your son's phone here if they want to come and get it. So ended up getting sent to him. He got reunited with it. Absolutely incredible story. I don't know how far that is, maybe 60 or 70 miles. Absolutely incredible to think that you can be reunited with something after that period of time. You would say that is incredible, and what an amazing one-off. Apart from, I've had something very, very similar happen to me. I put my phone number and my name on lifting bags. So anyway, I went in the water and I had a lifting bag. They're really useful bits of kit for all sorts of reasons. And mainly at that time we used them for lifting our grapple shot. So I was diving off the rib, and it When I went in the water, it wasn't clipped on properly, and the people on the boat said they saw it float off, but they weren't able to grab it. So anyway, there you go, very sad, boo-hoo, lost my lifting bag, and thought nothing of it until, once again, about 3 or 4 months later, I got a phone call from a guy who'd found my lifting bag, unfurled it, seen there was a name and a phone number on there, and given me a ring. And that was a dive out of Plymouth, and the lifting bag had turned up on the Isles of Scilly, which is the very most westerly islands before you end up in the Atlantic. So once again, that would have travelled 80 miles maybe over a few months, ended up on a beach, somebody had found it. So absolutely incredible, and therefore I do live in hope maybe that if the rope on my scooter rots enough for that bolt snap to fall off, maybe then the scooter will become positively buoyant and come up to the surface and float off somewhere, and maybe somebody will find it. Anyway, we will see with that one. So there's a kind of few floaty kit stories for you to kind of think about. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, which I'm really excited about, is the Q&A that I'm doing with Achim from Inner Space Explorers. Some of you may have seen that I posted my rebreather bailout video concurrently and completely coincidentally. He posted a video on his Inner Space Explorers channel with his kind of theories about how you should do a deep rebreather bailout. Now, his strategies are very different to my strategies, and people thought that it was him having a go at me and saying, you're wrong, you know, this is the way to do it, etc. Now, that's absolutely not the case. It was just one of those coincidences. And do you know what? It's really fine to have different bailout strategies, because different people have different approaches to risk. People put different importance on different things. And, you know, that's entirely fine. You know, we're all big boys or girls at this level. So it's important that you understand the risks involved. You mitigate the risks in the way that you think is best. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to do a live stream together on Easter Sunday evening. Well, evening for me anyway, evening for him. It'll be, you know, probably in the morning if you're on in the States. No idea where it'll be if you're in Australia or the Far East. Sorry about that, guys. But we're going to do a live stream, and we're going to take questions and hopefully give you some answers. So it's something that we're both quite excited about. Neither of us has really done anything. We think it could be really interesting. So anyway, we hope you'll come along. We hope you'll join us. Once again, there's a link in the description as to how you can do that. And so, yeah, hope we'll see as many of you there as possible. Right, that is pretty much me for today. I hope you've enjoyed my kind of a few dits from me, a bit of a ramble. And yeah, I hope I will see as many of you as possible on Sunday evening. Right, goodbye.